Hey guys, what's going on, and welcome to our review of Mario Party 4. So, in case you're wondering why we're reviewing such a popular game as like this one, you have to go back to, I think, maybe the Faz one, where we talked about that we're essentially going to review every game that we've done on the channel. Because it just makes sense to review. It'd be weird if we were to skip some. So anyway, getting that out of the way, that's why we're doing it. Just a little bit more housekeeping. I'm testing out the way that the review structures we're like, you guys say you like it, cool, we're gonna go with that. But I'm still working out like with the song in the background and with like the audio and stuff, so that might be changing here and there, but I think the entire structure as a whole will be the same. So let's start off with the game company / creator. It's Nintendo, just like the last one. So there will be, of course, like repeats, like Nintendo, like popular games like this. Not much to say about Nintendo, other than, you know, they have a massive team that makes decent games. So there you go. Moving on to what is done well. Just basing it off of all other Mario parties that we will do eventually. Although this is kind of the foundation because we haven't played 1 to 3 yet. We could if we had the stupid thing. What is it called? The
N64?
Yeah, whatever that thing is.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't have this. We haven't played 1 to 3. And of course we don't have an N64. So that makes things a little difficult, but we haven't played those. But judging it based off of this one and comparing it to the other ones, I think it's what's done well is I love the whole birthday kind of aesthetic, and I love that when you win, you're not just called a superstar, you're called the party star or whatever. Which I think is a nice little twist. I think that what is done well is most of the boards, we'll get into some boards I don't like, but most of the boards are super dynamic. They all have a gimmick to them that works as well. Their gimmick is not only works, but it's super fun. Especially Goomba's board. Goomba's board, I think, is by far the best board of this game. Goomba's Greedy Gala is the name of it, and it's the whole kind of chance roulette thing. Some people don't like luck, but you're playing Mario Party, so you can't really not like luck. And so I like that, you know, you can pay him off a little bit to get a better odds and like that kind of thing. And even stuff that annoyed me in the game, which were like, if you roll lower than him, he sends you back to start. Even stuff like that, it's pure chance, which I find really cool. And I just like the whole aesthetic of his board, like a casino, right? And all the mini games are super fun too. Not the mini games, but like the mini games in the board itself, I think are all pretty fun. So that's just a really highlight. I like Bowser's board as well. I think that's his dynamic. That being able to challenge Bowser in 3 different ways. You can challenge him just normally, where you lose half your money. You can challenge him as many, and he'll send you to a second start space, which has never existed ever. Or if you challenge him as a big, you get to play a minigame against him, which is either pure chance or the wrestling one, which I think is absolutely cool. So I think that board's dynamic is really cool. Toads is like the first board that everyone usually plays. The dynamic with him, I like that it's a theme park aesthetic. I love that a lot too. I think I like the mini games in them as well. I think those are pretty done well as well. So his board's kind of basic, but it's a decent gimmick. Shy Guys I'll go over later. Koopas I'll go over later. Boo's board is kind of the basic one, I guess. That one I kind of feel like should be the first one people play, but that's I like the thought that if someone somehow gets 150 coins and they get to King Boo, they can steal a star from every single person in the game.
Yeah,
I feel like that's really overpowered and really cool. Obviously, we didn't get to see it in our playthrough, unfortunately. But it's massive, and there's been a couple things like that in future Mario Parties, but this one I think maybe started it. Again, I can't say too much because we haven't played the first 3. Which we will eventually, mark my words, darn it. I'll either get an N64 or we'll pay for the stupid thing, whatever. We'll play those on the channel, don't worry. So yeah, I think that's done well. The actual mini games are done well as well. I said well 3 times. There are a couple, like I said, I'll go over later that I'm kind of like, really. We did complain about them a lot, but there are some decent ones. There's obviously Mario parties that have better mini games. Keep that in mind. So yeah. What's there really to say? I mean, the character roster I think improved a little bit from 3. I know Waluigi started in 3, so he didn't start in 4. Yeah, I don't really think there's much to say. There's a story mode. The story mode, what I don't like is in order to unlock Brutal, I think there's a secret difficulty that we didn't know about. The Brutal difficulty, you have to play story mode with every single character. That's a little ridiculous. I feel like that shouldn't be in the game, but it is. So, I mean, but that's in the, like, the knockdown roll section, for example, right? Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add. What's done well, I think it's kind of self-explanatory, like the voice lines and all that stuff are as they should be. You know, it's Nintendo. The music's pretty stellar, as it always is, but we'll go over that in sound. So I think that's all I got to say. Moving on to what could be improved. Like I said, there's a couple minigames that could be improved. Avalanche is not a great minigame, but physics-wise, there would be so many times where, like, Zach would pull ahead and it made no sense considering I never got hit by a rock and I went on the same slope as he did. Made literally no sense. I even accused the game of... We did prove this. We did prove the game cheated and had bias towards... I think it was Isabel. We did that Mario medley one, which you think that, oh, that's probably a music-based one. No, it's not.
It's like an Olympics.
It's an Olympics. It's an Olympic thing.
It's like swimming.
And so you swim, and you gotta mash the buttons. I think it's A and B first, or like A plus B first, right? And then you gotta go into L and R alternatively, and then you go into A and B separately, I think, or like alternating. And anyway, I think it was the three of us. I think it was me, Zach, and Isabel. We're like all dashing to the end. And I proved that in whatever video it was. I can't honestly recall. But like, I touched the end first. Zach touched it second. Isabel touched the third, but it gave it to her anyway.
But I won.
And so, and I slowed it down for you so you can actually see the same frame that the game cheated. So there's clearly some weird things going on with that specific minigame. The problem is I love the idea of that minigame. It's so cool, but then there's things like that where it's like, hey, I should have won that. Why didn't I? You know, so I think that could be improved. I think maybe the coding is weird, because sometimes when the computer would get there first, they'd give it to them. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. And I think, obviously this was made, what, 2001, right?
It was like early.
Early, so I'm not going to complain about the models. The models, I think, were probably fine for that era. What's other minigames? I'm trying to think of all the minigames, but I mean, there's a lot of minigames that were just kind of right? I can't say anything good about them, but it's hard to really say anything bad about them. Like I said, Avalanche and that Mario Medley one were both kind of like, why did this exist? You know? And so I can't really think. Can you guys think of any, like, just name one if you can? Just like if there's a minigame that you were like, man, this one sucks.
Did we have like a really strong hate towards Manta Rings, or was that?
Oh yes, we did. No, Manta Rings was only bad because you have to mash. Like you get ahead by mashing, and the minigame is like 20 seconds long, like 20 seconds full of mashing. That's a little
really
ridiculous.
Tiring yourself out.
Yeah, like to me that's a little ridiculous. And you're always tired by the end, and you know, to me, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know why you have to like. Maybe make it so that, you know, like, I don't know what I would make better. Like I said, I'm not really good at, like, naming these. Yeah, like, that one wasn't great. Three throw, that was the basketball one. That one made no sense. Well, actually, no. So it did make sense. What was stupid about it was anyone on the left or the right wins. The middle people are just screwed. Give up.
Yeah, the middle people
they're done.
Disadvantage.
I didn't like photo finish in the way that, like, it seemed like someone got a head start always. It was either me or Zach, which didn't make a lot of sense. So there were a couple of those. But like there's some cool ones I forgot to mention in the well section. Like one I loved a lot was Bomb Breakers. That was like the almost Tetris looking one. That one was super cool. Long Claw of the Law, I always made fun of the name, but it's a super cool one. Stamp Out's a super cool one. Mario Speedwagon. So like there's some cool ones and stuff like that.
And there's
like some
really
Candlelight Fright was one of the stupidest 1v3 minigames in the series because it is so unfair for the one. Making Waves, same thing, absolutely ludicrous. Hide and Go Boom, one of the best ones, so it kind of makes up for it, you know. Tree Stomp was awesome. I love the idea of that. Fish and Drips, we didn't prove this, but I watched someone that did prove that the AI has an advantage in this one for some reason. If they are the one on the left, like if they're the one person, even though you get a first, if they get a frame after you, they still win.
Wow.
Because it favors the AI. So we didn't prove that. You'd have to go to the group called the Runaway Guys. They proved that on their own, not stream, like their video on it. Hopper Pop's a really cool one too. I think it's a little weighted for the one, but it's still pretty cool. Money Belts, they continue that all the way into Superstar, so that's a really good one. Yeah. Goal, we only didn't like Goal because we got it so frequently. I think maybe if we got more variety, in the goal thing. It wouldn't have been as bad. Blame it on the crayon's cool. I'm not gonna go through every minigame, and I'm just making kind of a list in my head of like what was good, what was bad, right? Overall, the minigames, there were some really bad ones, there were some really good ones, and so it kind of evens out to meh, right?
Yeah, there's some really good ones like Book Squirm and...
I honestly think you're gonna have a better time on the boards than you are playing the minigames. That can be said, I don't know if I can say that for every Mario Party game, but I would save that for this one for sure. So, moving on to any problems or glitches. Besides the obvious bias towards the AI and that Mario Medley thing we said, I don't know if there are glitches or if that's just how the game works. I'm not sure. If those are glitches, those are the only ones I can really name. Like I said, there's times where someone's foot will clip through, especially on Shy Guys because of the terrain. There's some times where someone's foot will clip through the land, so there's stuff like that. It's not glitches or problems that you'd be like, oh, well, I'm never playing this game again. Right? Because that doesn't make sense. So, based on this category, I don't think so. Not really. Like I said, there's just the oddball here and there. Next up is controls. So the controls are, they're probably going to stay the same for most Mario Party games. But you select with A or B, it doesn't really matter. And then the mini games require pretty much any button. I think even the Z buttons gets used at least once. And so like, if you're using a Wavebird, which I usually do because the Wavebird is awesome, it's the one that's not wired. I hate the wired ones. The only problem is it doesn't have rumble. So there's a rumble one in here where you have to fish out the thing. You will have to rely on the exclamation point. The only thing that doesn't really get used too much is the C-stick, which is used more in 6, but it's not really used in this one, I don't think. That's really the only thing that doesn't do anything.
The plus control pad's not really that used.
Well, that's more used for platformers, Nick. We're not talking about platforms.
That's true.
And so yeah, it's basic controls. If you look at a Wavebird, you'll figure it out. So, moving on to graphics. Like I said, I think I said this at the start. This was made in like 2001 or something. So I think the graphics are probably pretty decent for that era. I'd have to look back at other games that kind of had 2001 style graphics and compare it. But I think just in general, it looks pretty good. The reason on our stuff it looks a little pixelated is because I'm zooming in. When it records it, it's like in a super small box, so I have to zoom it in. And so that's why it looks a little pixely. If you actually get the game yourself, it doesn't look as pixelated. So keep that in mind. Moving on to sound. The music in this game is great. I love it a lot. I will say there's a lot better music in other Mario Party games, but Mario Party 4 especially has some really, really catchy songs. Especially like even just the opening song is really catchy as well. I think Goomba's Greedy Gala I think is the most catchy for me. I'll find myself humming that sometimes. That's how good I know it. But like, I don't know. I think the music is really good. I think I love Bowser's. It's not Enchanted Inferno. That's 7. It's Bowser's something.
Bowser's
Gnarly Party. Yeah,
yeah.
It's the Gnarly Party. Yeah, the word they don't use anymore. But yeah, so it's like I like the music in that a lot as well. So, it's Nintendo. You really don't have to expect bad quality when it comes to music for Nintendo. I think it's Koji. I'm gonna butcher this. Koji. Oh, what's his last name? I know if you show me the name, I'd be like, okay, that's the music composer for Nintendo. I don't know if he's still running the show, but I know that he did back in the day, I'm pretty sure. And he does a fabulous job. Him and his team, I think, do a fabulous job at making music. So there's not really much to say because it's expected at this point when you play a Nintendo game that, oh, this is gonna have some awesome music in it, right? When we eventually do Mario Party 9, because we will, because it's on the list, the one thing that has it going for it is the music. So we'll go over that when we get to that, though. Moving on to story and characters. Again, not too much to say. The story of this game is that it's everyone's birthday. Everyone has the same birthday, because why not? And so the entire cast of the game has a birthday. Bowser wasn't invited, so he crashed the party and is like, screw you guys! The guys have to, like, kind of conquer the challenges and become the party star, essentially, right? And then they battle Bowser in kind of like a Galaxy-inspired. I say inspired. It was really kind of the foundation of Galaxy, though. It's like a cube. You go through different sides in space, essentially, and you have a final battle with them. The final battle is a little finicky, but it is fun, I will say. And then the characters, you know them. They're Mario, Luigi, Peach, Yoshi. I don't think I really need to explain them too much. But the story is interesting. Is it a compelling story? Not really. You don't really get sucked into a story, for example. But it's a Mario game. It's a decent story. It kind of boils down to the same thing, right? Yeah. But it does differ between each Mario Party, and I do like that. I'm not like even in Superstars, they don't bring back the same story. So that's what I like about it. Moving on to replayability. Literally endless. If you're okay with playing the same thing over and over again, then it's literally endless. Like I said, when we did the Mario Party 4 series, we had played this game at least 3 different times for either tournaments or just casually. So there's endless, because like I said, as long as you're okay with doing the same thing over and over again. If you're talking about new stuff, this Mario Party does have a lot more new stuff than most, so you will get more benefit out of it. But in terms of actual overall lifetime replayability, technically endless. And I think what we're going to do from now on is judge the replayability on either one of 3 things. Limited, meaning you probably can't play it again. Technically endless, meaning there's endless to a degree, and then pure endless. Like Minecraft, for example, that's pure endless. You're gonna get a different thing every single time you play the game, right? Whereas this one is gonna fall under technically endless, because if you're playing the same game over and over again, you're gonna see the same things, but it's technically different a little bit. So that's where I'm gonna put that category. So moving on to personal takes, everyone's favorite. Yay. So my personal take of this game is this was actually, funny enough, the last Mario Party we got. We had 5 already. Well, we had 5. Zach broke it, so we had to get a new one. But we had 5. 5 was the foundation. Then we went to 6. Then we went to 7, and then we went back down to 4 because we didn't have 4, and I wanted 4. So this was the last one we got. So after playing all of them, I would say it is a very good Mario Party game. I wish the minigames were a little bit better, and I wish I didn't talk about it too much, but I hate Koopa's board. I hate it a lot. Hate it. Shy Guys is really, I don't hate it. It's just kind of boring, and then Booze is kind of boring as well. So I wish there was a couple better boards, and I wish that the minigames were a lot better. I wish the ones that sucked a lot didn't suck as much. The ones that were great, they can stay, like Book Squirm and Tree Stomp, for example. Those are really good. Hide and Go Boom, like those are really awesome minigames. But like the ones that suck, like the water gun one, I forgot the name of it already.
Okay, no, like flight.
I didn't ask. But like that one sucks a lot, and there's like it's almost not fun to play those minigames, but you get through them just to get to the fun and exciting part of the board. And I think that I think it's really cool. Is it the best Mario Party game? Absolutely not. I think we will get to that eventually. But I think it is one of the better ones. Because I think we have done a Mario Party tier list at this point. So if you want to get extra info on like where it kind of placed on a tier list, for example, you should go check that out as well. But Zach and Isabel, quick takes, I guess, is the section here.
I'll go first, I guess.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. It's not the best Mario Party, but it's definitely a better one. I like the creativiness in this game, and I also like the idea of a whole lottery. Like you pay 5 coins, you either win or lose, and you get like a lottery ticket, and if you win, you get a prize. So I really like that idea. It's very nice, and that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I completely forgot the lottery existed. Yeah, I wish that is one thing I do wish. I wish the lottery continued onto 5 or 6 or whatever game. I hope that when they do, what I'm hoping, I will say that for the end. Actually, I want to give Zach a chance to say his personal takes.
Okay, so I definitely agree that this is a very good Mario Party. Like you guys said, its creativity is really good and really shines. I just wish that like there were more consistently good mini games in this game, and like obviously Koopa's board can go screw off, and yeah, Shy Guys is like boring, but yeah, it overall, especially compared to 9 and 10, pretty good.
Yeah. So another thing I was gonna say after what Zach said is like there's a couple there's not all the bad mini games are that bad, but there's a couple mini games in here that I honestly like either internally or externally groan at. Like, come on, why is this here again? And like I think Goal is one of those mini games. Like Goal is not a bad mini game. It's just that we got it so frequently that it's like, oh great, we're playing Goal again, woohoo. Or for example, I don't know, what was that one? It was The Great Deflate. Wasn't that bad. I forget what it was actually called. Dungeon Duel is, by the way, a fabulous minigame. Oh, it's Cheap Cheap Sweep. That's a stupid one. Like, that one's so dumb. It's like, we got it so often as well. It's like, why are we playing the stupid minigame again? And there's only 9 2v2s. There's only 9 1v3s. Like, there's not enough as well. And so I think that's kind of why we kept getting so many. We kind of got tired of them after a while. So that is our personal takes. But moving on to, is it worth it? So, Mario Party 4 is old, and it will probably run you more than what it was before. Maybe, I don't know, I have to check eBay. I ended up paying $60 for this game because it was older. I got it a long time ago, though, so keep that in mind. The price might have gone up at this point. Yeah, I paid around, the game was $60. I think I paid in total $80 because of shipping. And so if I'm going to judge it based around the price of that. Would I say is worth it? If you have a Wii or a GameCube, I would say, yeah, it probably is. If you haven't played 4, it is. If you played every Mario Party game up to this point, and you've seen either our playthrough or someone else's playthrough and been like, I don't really know about that, then I probably wouldn't. Because I feel like your money is better spent getting a new game that you probably would like. So in general, it kind of depends. If you love the franchise like I do, then I'd say, yeah, sure, save up or splurge on it, whatever you want to do. And make sure you play with either friends or family, because I think it's better. Don't play by yourself. It's going to be really boring by yourself, I think, with 3 computers. That's probably a nightmare. So I think in general, I would say yes. Last category is the one everyone's been waiting for, is the final rating out of 10. Because the thing is, I know we technically rated Security Breach on a 7, but that was ignoring the bugs, though, because we wanted to give it kind of a chance that the community wasn't giving it.
Because it would have been like 3.
It would have been a 3. But with that being said, I think I have to give it a 6 because of future Mario Parties we're going to be working on. I think Mario Party 5 exceeds it. I think Mario Party 6 exceeds it. I think Mario Party 7 exceeds it. 8 probably not, but we'll see. maybe even 8 exceeds it just by a smidge. So because of that, I can't give it too high of a rating. So I'm gonna go 6, and which is still good. Anything lower than a 5, then we're in trouble. But I think 6 is still good, and like I said, it depends. And the only reason I'm getting a 6 is because it's a little repetitive than most, and there's 3 out of 6 boards are not that great.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I have to give it a little bit of a dip down into territory. So. What do you guys say? Do you agree or do you disagree?
I was between 6 or 7, but I'm gonna go but since you mentioned the boards, I'm gonna go with 6.
All right.
Yeah, I was between 6 or 7, but yeah, it just gets kind of old with the mini games. Like, it gets really repetitive, and I'm not really one for that. So yeah, I would go with 6, to be honest.
All right. So what I was gonna say at the end here, I'll do the outro real quick because I know we're past the 15 minutes. Some games are gonna be hard to reach the 15-minute mark, just because this game is so massive and there's so many things to talk about with it. We won't go as far as like the hour. Trust me, we're not going anywhere near that again. But it will be hard to reach sometimes the 15 minutes. So this will probably be longer than that. But the thing I wanted to say is I'm hoping, what I want Nintendo to do this, and I mentioned to you, Nintendo, you're never gonna watch this ever. But in case by the miracle that you do, I want them to do another Superstars. And not like the same thing, that'd be stupid. But do it this time with 4, 5, and 6. And bring those things back and like revamp those. I think that'd be amazing. Because we technically got to play pieces of 1, 2, and 3 in Superstars. Obviously with differences. They're not the same games. But we technically got to play pieces. I think it would be awesome to play like the highlights of 5, 6, and 7. I think that'd be great. Or, sorry, 4, 5, and 6. And if they do that, I think they should take the good minigames out of 4 and put them in then. I think at that point that'd be great. And bring the boards back, too, some of the boards.
Yeah, bring, like, Goomba's Greedy Gala.
That would be great to revamp. Bring back, for 5, you could bring back Toy Dream, because that's iconic, or Bowser's Nightmare, either one of those two. 6, you could bring back Snowflake Lake, because that was so different from everything else. You get the point. I think that's what they should do. Will they do it? Probably not. But we can hope, right? So, I think that's going to do it for this review, guys. Hopefully it helped in your journey in Mario Party. Like I said, when we do Mario Party 5 and 6, we'll probably have better reviews for it, just because, like I said, I think they exceed this one. But that's going to be it from us, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. Go check out our other reviews we've done on other games. If you're watching this in the way of future, we've probably done tons of games at this point. And remember, if you're watching this in current times, January 2023 to be exact, you will be expecting a lot more reviews coming out, because we're kind of behind, and so once we get on track, then they'll start to slow down a little bit. But we are pretty behind. So Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.